Today we honor the millions across the globe who serve their communities and advance the greater good. This year's theme, Every Contribution Matters, it reminds us that everyone has something meaningful to offer and that volunteering is a global force for resilience and sustainable development. I'm really excited and honored to be here today and to join you in welcoming this International Volunteer Year for Sustainable Development in 2026. And I want to wholeheartedly commend the government of Kenya for its leadership and commitment on volunteerism in the African region and beyond, not least as the co-sponsor of the resolution that led to proclamation of 2026 as International Volunteer Year. But thank you also for the organization of this truly multi-stakeholder and multinational launch. You might wonder why this is not the colors of the flag of Kenya, right? This is the color of the Ivy logo, as we call it for short. So this is I guess, the global nation that unites us as volunteers. And today at UN headquarters in New York, member states are also, they're actually holding the global official launch of Ivy 2026, as we call it, in the presence of the UN Secretary General and other member states and global leaders. Throughout next year, we hope that many member states and non-profit organizations will put the spotlight on the transformative power of volunteering in addressing challenges of sustainable development. And each country has its own story of volunteering. Kenya stands out as a champion of volunteerism with a history written in the language of collective care, the spirit of Harambee, let's pull together, has long driven volunteer-led initiatives, building schools, planting trees, and supporting their neighbors. Kenya is among the largest host countries of UN volunteers, with 463 people serving this year across 24 UN entities. And many Kenyan talents are also serving as volunteers in other countries. I'm sure there's some in China, as was mentioned. Kenya has a national volunteerism policy and coordination mechanism. I'm sure that contributes to the fact that we can stand here today shoulder to shoulder with private sector and civil society, and all of you who are contributing to volunteering. I'm also pleased to announce that UN Volunteers today is releasing a new report called The State of the World's Volunteerism. I don't know if we have a link somewhere online or a QR code or something. I hope that can be published on our screens at some point. But it's something that we hope that you will download. Because it introduces a groundbreaking framework for measuring volunteering. The essential contribution of this work is having units and standards of measurement that help us understand the significance of volunteerism contribution. We might ask, why is that necessary? Well, because we all know that volunteerism contributes to social cohesion, to the economy and so on, but we might not understand how much. And some of the things that we have learned is that every month, more than 2 billion people somewhere around the globe are volunteering in their communities. We also learned that Africa has the highest rate of volunteerism worldwide, with 58% of the working age population volunteering every month. And much of this is actually informal, despite the fact that we have us volunteer organizations represented today. But this happens in families, in villages, in youth networks, climate clubs, and so on. We learned earlier this year from the African Union's State of Volunteerism in Africa report how traditional and modern forms of volunteering strengthen resilience and development, and yet many volunteers remain invisible and undervalued, often working without resources or formal recognition. So with the new UNV report and this framework of measurement, including also an index, we can give greater visibility and recognition, and that, ladies and gentlemen, takes us back to today's theme. Every contribution matters. Building on these findings, governments can develop national and subnational systems that understand, recognize, and support volunteers. And we have disaggregated data to ensure that gender, age, disability status, location, socioeconomic background, and migration status, they're no longer blind spots. And before closing, I would like to express also how excited we are that Africa region launch of IVY 2026 takes place in conjunction with the UN Environmental Assembly taking place here in Nairobi. Because across Africa, we see every day how volunteers bridge gaps across humanitarian, development, and environmental agendas. For example, in the drought-hit Horn of Africa, volunteers maintain early warning systems and repair water points. When floods or cyclones hit the Indian Ocean coastline towns, community volunteers mobilize for evacuation and relief. And urban areas across the continent, in Nairobi not least, volunteers lead waste separation and recycling in the informal settlements. So these are everyday miracles that are performed by many individuals, while global conversations drive progress. The real progress starts within communities. And today's launch sends a message that protecting environmental sustainability from the relentless threats of climate change and the exploitation of critical minerals and other issues, it demands a whole of society effort in response. And volunteers make up that crucial link between the global ambition and community reality. Once again, I thank the government of Kenya and all partners for your unwavering commitment. And I ask that we continue collaborating to make volunteers' contribution visible, valued, and supported. I thank the UN system in Kenya for helping to carry this torch and to do its part. The International Volunteer Year in 2026 is more than a celebration. It's a call to action. Together, let's make volunteering the cornerstone of a sustainable future. Asanteni sana.